Admiral Hyejin Park stood on the bridge of the battleship Seoul's Pride when the message arrived. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. For 30 years, she had served in Earth's Space Defense Force, working her way up from a simple pilot to the commander of humanity's most advanced warship. The quantum signal came through her personal communication device. Only a few people in the galaxy had the codes needed to send her messages directly. When she saw that it came from Ambassador Dae-ho Kim, her heart began to race. She read the message 3 times to make sure she understood it correctly. Then she walked to her private office and locked the door behind her. With shaking hands, she opened a secure channel to Earth's capital. "Get me President Bo-Ram Lee immediately," she told her communication officer. "Priority 1, Emergency Protocol." President Bo-Ram Lee was in her office in Seoul, reading reports about crop production in the Southern Territories. She was a tall woman with kind eyes, but those who worked with her knew she had a will made of steel. When her communication device began flashing red, she knew something terrible had happened. Admiral Park's face appeared on her screen. The military woman looked older than she had just a week ago. "Madam President," Park said, her voice tight, with controlled anger. "Ambassador Kim is dead. The Galactic Council executed him 20 minutes ago. They have given us 7 days to surrender completely, or they will destroy Earth." President Lee felt the world spin around her for a moment. Then her training took over. She had been preparing for this possibility ever since humans first made contact with alien species. "Are you certain?" she asked. "Yes." Kim sent his final message through his emergency transmitter. He recommended Protocol 7. Admiral Park's voice became even harder. "They killed him because they are afraid of what we might become." President Lee closed her eyes for a moment. Protocol 7 was something she had hoped never to use. It would change everything for humanity. There would be no going back once they started down that path. "Contact Defense Minister Tae-sung Choi," she ordered. "Tell him to meet us at Facility Prometheus in 2 hours. And Admiral, prepare your ship for immediate departure from the lunar base." "Yes, Madam President." "What should I tell my crew?" "Tell them that our peaceful approach to galactic relations just ended." 2 hours later, President Lee stood in the underground facility buried 3 kilometers below the mountains outside Seoul. She had only been here twice before, both times during her security briefings after becoming president. The place was so secret that most of Earth's government did not know it existed. Defense Minister Tae-sung Choi was waiting for her at the entrance. He was a big man with scarred hands from his days as a combat engineer. His face was grim as he led her through the security checkpoints. "Dr. Nam is waiting in the main briefing room," he said as they walked down the long tunnel. "He has everything ready." Dr. Yeon-ho Nam had been the director of Project Prometheus for 15 years. He was a thin man with wild hair who looked like he had not slept in weeks. When President Lee entered the briefing room, he was standing in front of a wall covered with screens showing star charts and technical diagrams. "Madam President," he said, turning to face her, "I wish we were meeting under different circumstances." "So do I, Doctor. But we are here now, and I need to know everything. The people of Earth deserve to know what we have been hiding from them." Doctor Nam pressed a button on his control panel, and the screens around them came to life. They showed images of massive space stations, strange-looking ships, and weapons that seemed to bend reality around them. "Project Prometheus began 53 years ago," he said, "when we first detected alien signals from deep space. We knew that other intelligent species existed, and we knew they were far more advanced than us. So we started preparing." President A. Lee studied the images on the screens. "These ships, I have never seen designs like these before. Because they are not based on human technology alone," Dr. Nam explained. "In 2157, one of our deep space probes found the wreckage of an alien vessel that had been drifting in space for centuries. We brought it back to Earth in complete secrecy and spent the next 50 years studying it." Defense Minister Choi stepped forward. The technology we found changed everything. We learned about quantum manipulation, antimatter containment, and energy systems that we had never imagined possible. But we did not just copy what we found, Dr. Nam continued. We improved it. We combined alien technology with human engineering and created something entirely new. The Galactic Council thinks we are primitives who barely understand space travel. They have no idea what we are actually capable of. President Lee looked at a screen showing what appeared to be a weapon that could destroy entire planets. How many people know about this? Less than 3,000 worldwide, Dr. Nam replied. Scientists, engineers, military personnel, and government officials with the highest security clearances. Everyone involved signed agreements that would put them in prison for life if they ever talked about the project. And these weapons, they actually work? We have tested them in deep space, far from Earth where no one could detect them, Defense Minister Choi said. They work better than we ever hoped. In fact, some of them are so powerful that we built them with safeguards to prevent them from being used accidentally. President Lee walked over to a screen showing a massive space station hidden behind one of Jupiter's moons. What is this? Defense Platform Alpha, Dr. Nam said with pride in his voice. One of 12 stations we built throughout the solar system. Each one is equipped with weapons that can destroy a fleet of alien warships. They are also completely invisible to most forms of detection. Most forms? The Galactic Council uses scanning technology that is about 200 years behind ours, Dr. Nam explained. They will not be able to find our defense platforms until it is too late. President Lee turned to face both men. How long do we have before their attack fleet arrives? Based on Ambassador Kim's message, probably 6 days, Defense Minister Choi replied. But our long-range sensors have already detected ships moving toward our solar system. A large fleet, maybe 700 vessels. Can we defeat them? Dr. Nam smiled for the first time since she had arrived. Madam President, the Galactic Council is about to learn that they made a very serious mistake. They think they are coming to destroy a primitive species that cannot fight back. Instead, they are flying into the most advanced defense system in the galaxy. President Lee felt a mixture of fear and excitement. For her entire life, humanity had been the newcomers in a galaxy full of older, more powerful species. They had always been polite, always been careful not to offend anyone, always been humble about their abilities. But that time was over. The aliens had killed their ambassador and threatened to destroy their entire species. Now, they would learn what humans were really made of. Prepare everything, she ordered. Activate all defense platforms, ready our fleet, and contact Admiral Park. Tell her that Protocol 7 is now in effect. What about the people of Earth? Defense Minister Choi asked. Should we warn them about the coming attack? President Lee thought for a moment. Not yet. First, let us show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity. After we win, we will tell our people the truth about everything. As she spoke, engineers throughout the solar system began activating weapons that had been waiting in darkness for over 50 years. The Galactic Council thought they were coming to destroy a helpless planet. They were about to discover that Earth was the most dangerous place in the galaxy. The news of the defeat at Earth spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In council chambers and meeting halls on 1,000 different worlds, alien leaders watched the recordings sent back by the surviving ships. The images were almost impossible to believe. The primitive humans, who barely knew how to leave their own solar system, had destroyed nearly 700 of the galaxy's most advanced warships in less than an hour. Ambassador Naltek of the consortium stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council, her crystal branches trembling with fear. She had always been one of the more moderate voices in the council, arguing for peaceful solutions to problems. Now she wished she had spoken louder against the decision to attack Earth. We must contact the humans immediately, she said, her voice echoing strangely in the great chamber. We must offer them peace before this situation gets worse. Chancellor Vextar, his insect-like body covered in bandages from his escape pod crash, clicked his mandibles angrily. Peace. They destroyed our fleet. They humiliated us in front of the entire galaxy. We cannot show weakness now. Weakness? Nalthek's branches turned a darker shade of silver. They killed Admiral Kethmos and 600,000 of our finest warriors. They have weapons we cannot understand and technology we cannot match. Continuing this war is not strength. It is suicide. But Chancellor Vexatar was not listening. He was thinking about his reputation and his power. The other species in the council were already questioning his leadership. Some were even talking about leaving the council altogether. He could not allow the humans to make him look weak. "We will gather more ships," he declared. "We will call upon every member world to send their fleets. The humans may have won one battle, but they cannot stand against the combined might of the entire galaxy." Unknown to the council members, their meeting was being watched. Deep in space, a human spy ship called the Ghost of Busan recorded everything they said. Its captain, Siwoo Kong, had been listening to alien communications for months, preparing for exactly this moment. "Send the recording to Earth," he told his communication officer. "Admiral Park needs to know what they are planning." But Admiral Hyjin Park was no longer waiting to see what the aliens would do. 3 days after the victory at Earth, she launched the largest military operation in human history. 36 fleets, each one equipped with the most advanced weapons humanity had ever built, jumped into hyperspace simultaneously. Their targets were spread across 17 sectors of space, council military bases, supply depots, shipyards, and command centers. The humans were not just planning to defend themselves anymore. They were going to destroy the Galactic Council's ability to make war. Task Force Alpha, led by Admiral Park herself, appeared in the hegemony's home system without warning. The aliens had 40 defense platforms protecting their capital world, each one armed with enough firepower to destroy a moon. They also had 200 warships patrolling the system's borders. None of it mattered. The Soul's Pride and her escort ships materialized in the middle of the enemy formation and opened fire with quantum lances. The alien defense platforms, which had protected the hegemony homeworld for 1,000 years, were cut apart like paper dolls. The patrol ships tried to fight back, but their weapons could not penetrate the human shields. "This is Admiral Park to the Hegemony Defense Command," she broadcast on all frequencies. "Surrender now and your people will not be harmed. Continue to resist, and we will destroy every military installation in this system." The alien commander, General Thexval, responded with a stream of curses in his native language. His answer was to order his remaining ships to ram the human vessels. It was a brave but hopeless gesture. The human ships simply phased out of normal space for a few seconds, letting the alien vessels pass harmlessly through them, then reappeared and continued their attack. Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out in system after system. Task Force Beta, commanded by Captain Dong-Ha Lee, struck at the Dominion's main shipyard complex. The aliens had been building a new class of super battleship there, vessels designed to be twice as powerful as anything they had ever created before. Captain Lee's ships arrived just as the first of these new battleships was being launched. The massive alien vessel was 3 kilometers long and carried enough weapons to level a continent. Its crew was celebrating the completion of their work when human fighters appeared around them. The new battleship lasted exactly 17 seconds against human weapons. "Target the construction facilities," Captain Lee ordered. "I want those shipyards turned into scrap metal." His ships fired precisely, destroying the alien construction equipment while leaving the nearby cities untouched. The message was clear. Humans could destroy military targets without harming civilians, but they could also choose to be less careful if necessary. On the planet Kethmar, home to the Council's main intelligence headquarters, Lieutenant Colonel Yunbi Kim led an orbital assault that would be talked about for centuries. Her forces did not try to destroy the intelligence complex. Instead, they captured it intact. Using technology that let them walk through walls and ignore gravity, her soldiers moved through the alien facility like ghosts. The defenders fired their weapons at targets they could not hit, while human troops appeared behind them and used non-lethal weapons to put them to sleep. Within 6 hours, the entire intelligence database of the Galactic Council was in human hands. Centuries of military secrets, spy networks, and strategic plans were copied and transmitted back to Earth. Dr. Chang-Min Park, the head of Earth's Xenobiology Research Division, worked around the clock to process the captured information. He was a quiet man who preferred working with computers to talking with people, but his work was crucial to humanity's war effort. We now know the location of every Council military base, supply depot, and secret research facility, he reported to President Lee. We also have detailed information about the biology and psychology of every species in the Council. If we wanted to develop biological weapons, we could create diseases that would target specific alien species. President Lee's face grew stern. We will not use biological weapons, Doctor. We are fighting to defend ourselves, not to commit genocide. I understand, Madam President, but it is good that we have the option if they force us to use it. The human fleets moved through Council space like a plague of mechanical locusts. They struck without warning, destroyed their targets with surgical precision, then vanished before reinforcements could arrive. The aliens had never faced an enemy that could appear anywhere at any time and disappear just as quickly. More importantly, the humans fought in a way that the Council had never experienced before. They did not try to conquer territory or enslave populations. They simply destroyed military targets and left. They were not interested in ruling the galaxy. They only wanted to make sure the galaxy could never threaten them again. Within 2 months, the Galactic Council's military power was broken. Their fleets were scattered, their bases were destroyed, and their leaders were hiding in bunkers on their homeworlds. Species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years were now afraid to leave their own solar systems, but the humans were not finished. Admiral Park had one more message to send to the Council, and she wanted to deliver it in person. The mobile fortress Eternal Dominion had served as the Council's emergency headquarters for 3 centuries. It was a massive ship, the size of a small moon, equipped with the most powerful shields and weapons the aliens could build. The Council leaders had retreated there, believing they would be safe behind its defenses. They were wrong. The Soul's Pride appeared alongside the fortress without warning, its quantum lances aimed at the alien ship's bridge. Admiral Park's image appeared on every screen throughout the fortress, her uniform crisp and her expression cold as winter. "This is Admiral Hyajin Park of the Terran Federation Navy," she said. "The Galactic Council's military power is destroyed. Your fleets are scattered. Your bases are gone. You have 2 choices. You can surrender and negotiate a new peace, or you can continue this war until every Council world is a burned wasteland." The alien leaders looked at each other with fear in their eyes. They had started this war believing they were crushing a primitive species before it could become dangerous. Instead, they had awakened something that was far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The hunt was over. Now it was time for the real negotiations to begin. 6 months had passed since Ambassador Dae-ho Kim died in the Council chambers. Now those same chambers were filled with a very different kind of meeting. The 17 species that had once ruled the galaxy sat in silence, waiting to hear the terms of their surrender. Admiral Hyajin Park stood at the center of the chamber, her blue uniform bearing the new insignia of the Terran Federation Navy. Around her, holographic displays showed the current positions of human fleets throughout the galaxy. Every Council world was now under human protection, though the aliens were beginning to understand that this protection came with a price. President Bo-Ram Lee's image appeared as a 3-dimensional projection next to Admiral Park. Even though she was speaking from Earth, millions of light years away, Her presence filled the chamber with authority that none of the alien leaders could ignore. 6 months ago, you executed our ambassador, President Lee began, her voice calm but carrying an edge of steel. You threatened to destroy our planet and every human being in the galaxy. You believed we were primitives who would bow to your demands or die trying to resist them. Chancellor Vexistar, his insect-like body now covered in scars from the destruction of his flagship, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He wanted to speak, to defend his actions, but the human fleet surrounding his fortress made any defiance seem foolish. You were wrong about us, Admiral Park continued where the president had left off. We are not primitives. We are not weak. And we do not bow to bullies no matter how powerful they think they are. General Zokmar of the War clans, his metal skin dented from battle damage, finally found his voice. What do you want from us, humans? You have already destroyed our fleets and captured our worlds. Why not simply finish the job? President Lee smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Because we are not like you. We do not destroy entire species just because we fear what they might become. But make no mistake, General, the old Galactic Council is finished. What comes next will be very different. The holographic displays around the chamber changed, showing star charts and legal documents written in dozens of different languages. Admiral Park gestured to the displays as she spoke. The Treaty of Sol has been prepared and is ready for your signatures. Under this treaty, the Galactic Council as you knew it will be dissolved. In its place, we will establish the Galactic Federation, a true democracy where every species has an equal voice. Ambassador Nalthek of the consortium, her crystal branches now a dull gray color from stress, spoke up nervously. And if we refuse to sign? Then you will remain under human military occupation until you change your mind, Admiral Park replied, without emotion. Your choice is simple. Join the new Federation as equals, or remain as conquered territories under human rule. The alien leaders looked at each other with expressions of defeat and resignation. They had once commanded fleets that could crack planets and armies that could conquer solar systems. Now they were reduced to begging for terms from a species they had tried to exterminate. Chancellor Vextar clicked his mandibles slowly, a sign of deep thought in his species. What guarantees do we have that humans will not simply replace us as the galaxy's rulers? What stops you from becoming the very thing you claim to oppose? It was a fair question, and President Lee had expected it. She nodded to Admiral Park, who activated another set of displays. Captain Jiwon Han will answer that question, Admiral, Park said. A new figure appeared in the chamber as a holographic projection. Captain Han was young for such an important position, barely 40 years old, but her eyes held the wisdom of someone who had seen both the best and worst of what intelligent species could do to each other. I have been appointed as the first director of galactic peacekeeping, Captain Han announced. My job is to make sure that no species, including humanity, ever again has the power to threaten the existence of another species. She gestured to the displays, which now showed the organizational structure of the new peacekeeping force. The galactic peacekeeping fleet will be made up of ships and crews from every member species. No single species will control more than 20% of the fleet. All major decisions will require approval from representatives of at least 12 different species. And the humans' advanced weapons? Asked Admiral Kethaval of the Outer Rim territories. Will you share this technology that has made you so powerful? Dr. Yon Ho Nam appeared as another holographic projection, his wild hair, even more disheveled than usual. We will share some of our technology, but not all of it. Medical advances, manufacturing techniques, and scientific research will be made available to all Federation members. But our most advanced weapons will remain under human control as a guarantee against future aggression. That hardly seems fair, General Zokmar protested. Fair? Admiral Park stepped forward, her voice rising slightly. You want to talk about fair? Was it fair when you executed our ambassador for the crime of asking to join your council? Was it fair when you threatened to destroy our entire species? Was it fair when you sent 700 warships to burn our homeworld? The chamber fell silent. None of the alien leaders had an answer to those questions. President Lee's projection moved closer to the center of the chamber. We are offering you something your council never offered anyone else. We are offering you the chance to govern yourselves as equals in a true democracy. No species will rule over another. No one will be executed for asking difficult questions. No one will be threatened with extinction for being different. She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. But this offer will not remain open forever. You have until the end of this meeting to decide. Sign the treaty and join the Federation, or remain under military occupation indefinitely. The alien leaders began talking among themselves in their various languages. The translation devices in the chamber buzzed with dozens of different conversations, as species that had been allies for centuries tried to decide their future. Ambassador Nalthek was the first to stand up. The consortium accepts the treaty. We wish to join the Galactic Federation. One by one, the other species followed. Some signed quickly, recognizing that they had no other choice. Others took longer, trying to negotiate better terms, but eventually agreeing when they realized that the humans would not be moved. Chancellor Vexatar was the last to sign. His clawed hand shook as he put his mark on the treaty document. "What about trials?" he asked quietly. "What about punishment for those who ordered the ambassador's death?" "There will be trials," President Lee confirmed. "But they will be fair. Trials, with judges from multiple species and proper legal representation for the accused. Justice, not revenge." As the treaty signing concluded, Dr. Chang-Min Park activated systems throughout the galaxy that would begin sharing human medical technology with Federation worlds. Diseases that had plagued some species for centuries would soon be curable. Manufacturing techniques that could triple industrial production were made available to worlds that needed them. But the most important change was not technological. It was philosophical. For the first time in galactic history, no single species ruled over the others. Every world had a voice in its own government. Every species had the right to exist and develop according to their own nature. Admiral Park looked around the chamber one last time before ending the meeting. "Ambassador Dae-Ho Kim came to you in peace, offering friendship and cooperation. You killed him because you were afraid of what humanity might become. Today, you have learned exactly what we became when you forced us to choose between survival and extinction." She paused, her voice growing softer but no less intense. "We became your protectors, whether you wanted us to or not. The galaxy is now under human protection. Use this gift wisely." As the alien leaders filed out of the chamber, many of them looked back at the human officers who had given them something their own council never had: hope for a better future. The Galactic Federation would face many challenges in the years to come. There would be disputes between species, conflicts over resources, and disagreements about policy. But there would never again be the threat of extinction hanging over any species simply for being different. Ambassador Dae-Ho Kim's death had not been in vain. His sacrifice had brought about the end of an empire built on fear and the beginning of a democracy built on hope. The galaxy was finally free, and humanity had ensured it would stay that way. The massive space station called Nexus hung in the darkness like a crystal flower. Its walls were clear and shined with light from the galactic core. Inside the station, strange beings from across the galaxy sat in a huge meeting room. Some looked like walking rocks, others like giant insects, and some were just floating balls of light that spoke without mouths. Ambassador Hyun-Woo Park walked into the chamber wearing his best diplomatic uniform. His black hair was neat, and his face showed no emotion. Behind him came Dr. So Young Kim, a woman with kind eyes who studied alien cultures. Captain Dongmin Lee followed them, his military uniform crisp and his hand resting near his weapon, out of habit. The three humans looked very small compared to the alien beings around them. The Nexus station was built for creatures much larger than humans. Everything was too big, too tall, too wide. It made humans feel like children who had wandered into an adult meeting. At the center of the room sat Speaker Vexthara. She was made of living crystal that changed colors when she spoke. Her voice sounded like music, but her words were always cold. Next to her was High Arbiter Quellion, who looked like a giant ant with 6 arms and eyes that never blinked. "The young species from Earth comes to us again," Speaker Vexthara said. Her crystal body turned red as she looked down at the humans. How amusing that they think they can sit with civilizations that ruled the stars before their son was born. Hyunwoo kept his face calm, but his hands made small fists behind his back. The humans had been coming to these meetings for 3 months. Every time they were treated like children asking adults for candy. Every time the aliens acted like humans should be grateful just to be in the same room. "We come with our final proposal," Hyunwoo said. His voice was clear and strong. "The Mutual Defense and Exploration Compact. All species work together as equals. We share technology, defend each other, and explore new worlds together." The room filled with sounds that humans had learned meant laughter. Some aliens clicked their claws, others made buzzing noises, and the floating lights pulsed in patterns that showed they found humans very funny. "Equals?" High Arbiter Quellon's voice sounded like grinding metal. "Your species learned to make fire yesterday. We have been traveling between stars for millions of your years. You want to be equals with us?" Dr. So Young stepped forward. She had studied these aliens for years and knew their languages and customs. "We may be young, but we have made friends with 17 different species. We have built colonies on 40 worlds. We have created new technologies that even your ancient civilizations find useful." "Tricks," Speaker Vexthara said, her crystal body now glowing bright orange with amusement. "Clever tricks, like a pet learning to dance. But tricks do not make you our equals." Captain Dongmin's jaw got tight. He had fought in 3 wars to defend human colonies from space pirates. He had seen human ships save alien vessels from disasters. He had watched human doctors risk their lives to help sick aliens. These creatures acted like humans had done nothing at all. "We offer you a partnership," Hyunwoo said, trying one more time. "Humans can help you solve problems. We think differently than you do. We can find new ways to do things." "Problems?" A new voice came from the back of the room. It belonged to Counselor Mordex, who looked like a walking tree with too many eyes. "What problems could children solve that we cannot? We who have lived since your world was covered in ice?" The other aliens made their laughing sounds again. Hyunwoo felt his patience starting to break. Humans had come here with hope and respect. They had offered friendship and partnership. Instead, they found creatures who thought age made them wise and size made them strong. "You speak of our youth like it is weakness," So Young said, her voice getting louder. "But young things grow fast. Young things learn quickly. Young things are not stuck in old ways of thinking." Silence. Speaker Vexthara's voice boomed through the chamber. Her crystal body turned deep red, the color of anger. "You forget your place, little creatures. We allow you to speak because it amuses us. Do not think it makes you important." High Arbiter Quellon raised 4 of his 6 arms. "We will give you what you deserve," he said. "Junior membership in the Galactic Council. You may trade with us, but only what we allow. You may explore space, but only where we permit. You may build colonies, but only on worlds we do not want. Be grateful that we offer this much to such a young species." The room went quiet. All the alien eyes stared at the three humans, waiting for them to bow their heads and accept this generous offer. After all, what choice did they have? Earth was just one small world. Humans were just one small species. They should be happy that the great civilizations were willing to notice them at all. But Hyunwoo did not bow his head. Instead, he stood up straighter. His dark eyes looked around the room at all the creatures who thought they were better than him. "We came here seeking partnership between equals," he said slowly. "Instead, we find masters looking for servants. We offered friendship, and you offered chains with pretty names." Dr. So Young nodded and stood beside him. "We have learned much from you in these 3 months," she said. "We learned that some species think age makes them wise. We learned that some creatures believe size makes them strong. But most importantly, we learned that we do not want to be like you." Captain Dong Min stepped forward too. "Humans fight for freedom," he said. "We always have. We fought for freedom on our own world. We fought for freedom among the stars. We will not stop fighting for freedom now." Speaker Vexithara's crystal body flickered with confusion. This was not how young species were supposed to act. They were supposed to be grateful and obedient. They were supposed to accept whatever the old civilizations offered them. Hyunwoo reached for his communicator, a small device that connected him to human ships across the galaxy. His finger hovered over the button that would send a message to every human vessel, every human colony, every human station. "Last chance," he said to the room full of aliens. "True partnership, or we walk away." The aliens looked at each other. Some seemed worried, but most just looked annoyed. How dare these tiny creatures threaten them? What could humans do alone in the vast galaxy? "Go then," Speaker Vexithara said, her voice like breaking glass. "Run home to your little world. Hide in your corner of space. When you realize how much you need us, we might consider letting you crawl back." Hyunwoo pressed the button on his communicator. His voice was calm and clear as it went out to every human in space. "All human vessels, implement Protocol Exodus. We're going home." The three humans turned and walked out of the chamber. Behind them, the aliens made their laughing sounds, but some of the laughter sounded forced now. A few of the creatures looked worried, wondering if they had just made a very big mistake. As the humans left Nexus Station, their ship's engines lit up the darkness. Soon, similar lights appeared across the galaxy as human vessels everywhere received the message and began their journey home. The Galactic Council had no idea that they had just awakened something they did not understand. They had awakened human pride, human determination, and human unity. Most dangerous of all, they had awakened the human ability to survive and thrive when everyone else said it was impossible. Admiral Ji-Hai Choi stood on the bridge of her flagship watching the stars through the huge window. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and gray hair pulled back tight. Her uniform was perfect, and her crew respected her more than they feared death itself. The message from Ambassador Hyunwoo had reached her ship just 20 minutes ago. Protocol Exodus. Every human in space knew what those words meant. It was time to come home. "Signal all ships in the fleet," she said to her communications officer. "Begin immediate withdrawal from all non-human space. No exceptions." Around her, the bridge crew moved with quick efficiency. These were people who had trained for years to follow orders without question. But Ji-Hai could see the worry in their eyes. They were leaving behind everything they had built in alien space. "Admiral," said her second-in-command, "a young man named Tae-ho Yoon. What about the terraforming project on Kepler-7? We're only 3 months from completion." "Pack it up," Ji-Hai said without emotion. "We take our people and our equipment. Nothing more." Tae-ho looked confused. "But Admiral, the aliens paid us to turn that dead rock into a garden world. If we leave now, they lose everything they invested." "That's their problem now," Ji-Hai replied. Her voice was cold, but inside she felt sad. The terraforming project had been her idea. She had worked with alien engineers for 2 years to make it happen. But orders were orders and humans were going home. Across the galaxy, similar scenes, played out on hundreds of human ships. Trade vessels stopped in the middle of deliveries and turned around. Research stations packed up years of work in hours. Diplomatic posts closed their doors and activated emergency protocols. On the planet Nexus Prime, Dr. Yoonji Seo sat in front of her computer screens, working as fast as her fingers could move. She was the head of quantum communications for the Human Diplomatic Mission. Her job was to keep all human settlements connected across the galaxy. Now she had a different job. She was downloading everything. "How much time do we have?" asked her assistant, a nervous young man who kept looking at the door. 6 hours before the aliens figure out what we're doing," Yoonji said, her eyes never leaving her screens. "I need to copy every piece of public information in the galactic database. Science, technology, culture, history, everything." "Is that legal?" her assistant asked. "It's all public information," Yoonji replied with a small smile. "Anyone can access it. We're just accessing a lot of it very quickly." While humans worked to leave alien space, the Galactic Council was starting to panic. In the crystal chamber where the meeting had taken place, Speaker Vexithara paced back and forth. Her crystal body flickered between different colors as she tried to understand what was happening. "This is impossible," she said to High Arbiter Quellon. "They cannot simply leave. They need us more than we need them." But Quellon was reading reports from across the galaxy, and what he saw worried him. "The human trade ship that was bringing medical supplies to our colony on Rigel 7 just turned around," he said. "Our people will die without those medicines." Then, "Send our own ships to get the supplies," Vexithara snapped. "From where?" Quellon asked. "Humans were the only ones willing to travel through that dangerous part of space. Our own traders refused to go there." More reports came in every hour. The human-built jump gate at the Theta Station had gone offline, cutting the fastest trade route between 2 major systems. 3 alien colonies lost their terraforming teams, leaving half-finished worlds that would take decades to complete without human expertise. On the planet Zephyr, engineer Tae-ho Yun supervised the shutdown of the largest terraforming project in the galaxy. Alien workers watched in confusion as humans packed up machines that could change the weather and reshape mountains. "Please," said Morketh, the alien project manager, "we can pay you more money. We can give you better working conditions. Just don't leave us." Tae-ho felt sorry for Morketh. The alien had always treated humans with respect, but orders were orders. "I'm sorry," Tae-ho said. "This comes from the top. All humans are going home." "But why?" Morketh asked. His 4 eyes looked desperate. "What did we do wrong?" "You didn't do anything wrong," Tae-ho replied. "But your leaders think humans should be grateful for scraps. We're not." Back at the Nexus station, one alien was trying to warn the others about their mistake. Counselor Jektar was older than most, with green scales and yellow eyes that had seen many wars. Unlike the other council members, he had been watching humans carefully since they arrived in galactic space. "You fools," he hissed at the emergency council meeting. "Do you not understand what you have done?" Speaker Vexithara turned her crystal body toward him, glowing red with anger. "Watch your tongue, reptile. We offered those creatures more than they deserved." "More than they deserved?" Jektar laughed, a sound like grinding rocks. "In 20 years, they went from 1 world to 40 colonies. In 20 years, they made friends with 17 different species. In 20 years, they built trade networks that half the galaxy depends on. What did we do in our first 20 years of space travel?" "That was different," High Arbiter Quellon said, but his voice sounded less sure than before. "We had to learn everything ourselves. They learned from us." "Yes, they learned from us," Jektar agreed. They learned our languages, our customs, our technologies, but they also improved everything they touched. Their ships are faster than ours. Their weapons are stronger. Their medicine is better. And you treated them like children. The other council members shifted uncomfortably. Some of them were starting to remember things they had tried to forget. Human doctors who had saved alien lives. Human engineers who had fixed problems that had stumped alien experts for years. Human diplomats who had prevented wars between alien species. It doesn't matter, Vexithera said, but her crystal body was now a worried orange color. They'll be back. They need our trade networks, our technology, our protection. Without us, they're nothing. Jektar shook his head. You still don't understand. They were never dependent on us. We were dependent on them, and now they're gone. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Kyung-Soo Han sat in his office reading reports from across human space. A tall man with kind eyes and gray hair, he had led humanity through its first contact with alien civilizations. Now he had to lead them through their first major crisis with those same aliens. How many of our people are still in alien space? He asked his aide. Less than 1,000 now, sir, came the reply. Admiral Ji Hai estimates complete withdrawal within 72 hours. The president nodded. And our colonies? All secure. Sir, every human settlement is in space we control or in neutral territory. Han smiled. The aliens thought humans needed them to survive in space. They were wrong. Humans had been very careful to build their colonies in areas where they could defend themselves. They had been very careful to make friends with species that the Galactic Council ignored. Sir, his aide continued, we're receiving messages from 12 different species asking if they can still trade with us. Which species? Han asked. Mostly the younger civilizations, sir. The ones the Council treats as junior members. Han's smile grew wider. Tell them yes. Tell them that anyone who wants to trade with humans is welcome. But make it clear that we won't deal with anyone who bows to the Council's demands. Across the galaxy, the word spread quickly. Humanity had not just left the Galactic Council. They had declared independence from it. Any species that wanted to deal with humans would have to choose sides. Some alien leaders called it the stupidest decision in galactic history. Others wondered if the humans knew something that the rest of them had missed. In the crystal chambers of Nexus Station, Speaker Vexithara stared out at the stars and tried to convince herself that everything would return to normal soon. The humans would realize their mistake and come crawling back. The galaxy would continue as it always had, with the old species in charge and the young species knowing their place. But deep inside her crystal heart, she was starting to fear that nothing would ever be the same again.